Many of you would have seen this headline recently. A soccer league in the USA called the USL have announced plans to add promotion and relegation to their league, which may come as a surprise to the majority of people watching who would assume that MLS is the only football league in America. It's not. There are close to 100 professional soccer teams in America and over 1,000 amateur teams. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through every single major football league in the USA. This is the pyramid of football leagues across America, with MLS at the top of the pyramid, college soccer at the bottom, and everything else in between. Now, a disclaimer before we begin this video, I'm going to be explaining things so that anyone can understand. Everyone from a European who knows nothing about football in America to my grandparents who know nothing about football in general and constantly complain that they can't understand anything that I'm talking about in my videos. This video took a ton of research because even as an American myself, the soccer system in my country is so confusing and so hard to understand. So let's break it down. And let's start at the very bottom of the pyramid with college soccer. This would be classified as the 5th tier of football in America. A lot of people watching this video would be familiar with England's pyramid system, where there is promotion and relegation between all of them. A team from the very bottom of the pyramid could slowly win their leagues and work their way up to the top of the pyramid. In American football, it's not as straightforward as that. So college soccer consists of 3 systems. There's the NCAA, the NAIA, and then the NJCAA. You see, when a player graduates high school in America, usually around the age of 18, they have 2 choices. They can either go and become a professional player or go play in college. Now, if you're a good enough player, you would have already been scouted by a club and probably joined a team's academy and skipped college altogether. Let's take Christian Pulisic, for example. He started his career playing football in Hershey, Pennsylvania. He then got signed by Borussia Dortmund's youth academy in Germany at the age of 15 and has been playing professionally in Europe ever since. The majority of players, however, in the US are not as skilled as Pulisic, and they go to college to play. The top level Division I colleges in the NCAA you'd be familiar with, I mean, Alabama, Ohio State, UCLA. These teams have crazy facilities for players to develop at. The competition's actually very good as well, and the players are able to get scholarships to play for free and attend the schools for free as well. And college athletes just recently started being eligible to get paid, and the average college soccer player now makes between $1,000 and $10,000 a year. One of the most interesting things about college soccer is the clock counts down, not up, which allows for some like crazy buzzer beating goals.
Opportunity. Oh, fell off a card, it looked like.
Now, the question is, if a player wants to keep going after college, where do they play next? And they basically have 3 options. Option 1 would be to enter what is called the MLS Super Draft. Here in America, we love a draft. The NFL draft is one of the most hyped events in all of sports in America. Major League Baseball has a draft. The NBA has a draft. NHL has a draft. If you're a good enough college player, you can enter the MLS Super Draft after your career ends, and you'll get drafted to an MLS team. Option 2 for college players is what is called the homegrown player rule. This rule states if you were playing for an MLS team's academy growing up, that MLS team has the right to sign you immediately. And then our third option is sign for an amateur team, which takes us up to our next level of the pyramid. This is tier 4, and we're going to focus on what I would consider the top 3 leagues of amateur football: the National Premier Soccer League, USL League Two, and the United Premier Soccer League. Oh, there's also an Arena Soccer League. I wanted to bring them up in this video, so I'll do it now. This is like its own separate thing. There's like an legit indoor soccer league where players get paid, and it's crazy. I need to make a whole separate video on that because it's actually one of the wildest sports ever. All right, let's start with the NPSL, which stands for National Premier Soccer League. It was founded in 2003 and consists of 67 different clubs divided into 4 regions. Here's the reality about soccer in America. The USA is a massive country. The reason so many European countries are able to have dozens of leagues that teams can climb up and down from are realistically because the countries are so small. Here's an image of the USA inside of Europe. Now imagine a smaller tiered club in England having to travel all the way to Russia for a match. They just wouldn't be able to afford that, and it's not sustainable at all for smaller clubs. So for a league like this one, the NPSL, they divide their leagues up regionally. So you'll have teams on the West playing teams in the West, teams on the East playing teams in the East. And at the end of the season, they'll have the winners from each region come together for a playoff to decide the winner of the league. This is called the NPSL National Playoffs. Now, this league consists mostly of former college players, former pros, and just amateurs trying to make a name for themselves. Since it's an amateur league, players do not make a salary. They make nothing. One of the most notable players to play in the NPSL is Chris Wondolowski, who is one of the top MLS goal scorers of all time. Out in the West, you got teams such as the California Odyssey, Oklahoma Stompers, Sacramento Gold. In Texas, you got the Lubbock Matadors. Some of these names are just awesome. Oklahoma United FC, the Arkansas Wolves. Out in the East, you got the New York Shockers. There's loads more teams. This league is actually massive, and yeah, just a lot of local clubs that are very small, probably have very small fan bases, but this is a team that went viral called El Farolito. You might have seen them last year on social media. Yeah, they blew up after beating an MLS side in the US Open Cup last year. The US Open Cup, we'll talk about that later. It's basically America's version of the FA Cup. It's basically a tournament where the smaller teams can work their way up in a tournament to play against MLS teams if they keep winning. The next league in this fourth tier is USL League Two. This league was founded in 1995 and originally known as the Premier Development League. USL also has a USL League One in the third tier and the USL Championship in the second tier. We'll discuss those later, but this USL League Two is a part of this whole USL ecosystem. USL 2 is a summer-only league and is used by a lot of college players in the off-season to continue playing and develop their game. Many of the teams in this league have direct ties, like I mentioned, to USL League One and USL Championship teams, making this league a direct pipeline for players to go pro. And yes, obviously, when you hear there's a USL League Two, there's a USL League One, there's a USL Championship, there should be promotion and relegation, right? Well, we talked about at the beginning of the video, there will be, and we'll discuss that more when we get up to the USL Championship. Some notable USL League Two players who have played in this league over the years: DeAndre Yedlin, Jack Harrison, Chris Muller. This league is known as the gateway to pro soccer in America, so if you think you got what it takes, yeah, it's realistic that you could join one of these teams and give it a shot. The last fourth tier league we'll talk about in the US is the United Premier Soccer League. They're founded in 2011 and have over 400 clubs between their Premier Division, First Division, and Youth Division. And yes, they do have promotion and relegation within the two divisions. The league is year-round and attracts a lot of young players who need regular minutes to help develop their game. There's also a bunch of European clubs that have teams within this league that they use to find and develop players within the USA. And we're now going to move on to tier 3 of the pyramid. This is where the professional leagues begin. And there are 3 major leagues in this third tier of football in America. We have the USL League One, we have the NISA League, and a league called MLS Pro Next. These leagues are all very, very different, and these are the leagues where players start getting paid. Let's start with USL League One, founded in 2019, a part of this USL ecosystem of leagues. USL created this league with the goal of adding promotion and relegation, which they soon will. Promotion and relegation between USL League Two, USL League One, the USL Championship, and a brand new league will begin in 2028. Currently, USL League One has 14 clubs competing across the country with names like the Charlotte Independence, Portland Heart of Pine, and the Richmond Kickers, which I love. This league is a perfect starting point for smaller market cities across America who want a professional team. Some of the clubs, such as North Carolina FC, Lexington SC, and Chattanooga Red Wolves, are currently investing in football-specific stadiums, which is absolutely massive for teams as small as these, and really shows like the long-term commitment some of these clubs have towards investing in the game across the country. USL in general have very strong branding as well, in my opinion. The logos, the jerseys really do separate themselves from MLS. Ronaldinho's actually part owner of a club in this league. They are called the Greenville Triumph, and he was just recently there to help break ground on the brand new stadium they're building. The average salary in US League One is anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000. Some players as well make upwards of $50,000 plus. And if you're a city who wants a club in USL League One, it's going to cost you around $5 million to join this league. Next up on the tier 3 level of the pyramid is the league known as NISA. What separates this league from USL and MLS is that all clubs in this NISA league are individually owned, meaning the clubs have full control over their branding, their operations, their player decisions. NISA is currently trying to implement promotion and relegation, but struggling. A lot of the clubs are either going bankrupt. The successful ones a lot of times are joining the USL ecosystem, and the unsuccessful ones going down to compete in the NPSL and some of the other amateur leagues. NISA does heavily support a lot of their clubs being owned by the communities, owned by the fans, promoting more local involvement, more transparency, where, yeah, a lot of the MLS and USL teams are owned by just really, really rich people who are trying to make a lot of money. From my research, I would say NISA is truly the league of the people. Again, I've just like discovered this league and just been starting to read about them. So if I've made any mistakes, please correct me in the comments. But yes, with the rise of USL and them starting to implement promotion and relegation, I hope this league can survive. It may be difficult for them in the future. Players in this league, their average salary is around $1,000 a month. And the final tier 3 league, the final professional league in tier 3 is what is called MLS Pro Next. All right, let's talk about this league, what exactly it is. Obviously, it is a league that is owned by MLS. MLS launched this league in 2022, and the league features 27 teams that act as reserve teams for MLS teams. So you'll see teams like FC Cincinnati 2, New York City FC 2, LA Galaxy 2. You get the point. This league sort of bridges the gap between MLS teams and the academy. It really just like fills that middle ground. And yeah, it's basically the minor leagues for MLS. If you're a baseball fan, that's basically how baseball works in America. You have MLB teams, and then all of their minor league teams underneath where players can sort of move up and down between those. MLS will also use this league to test sort of new technology, new systems, new rules. There's nothing I can find on the average salaries for this league, but yeah, players, there's no salary cap. Players can kind of make as much as the teams want to pay them. This league is a bit soulless in my opinion, just from the outside looking in, when teams are literally named like FC Cincinnati 2. FC Cincinnati, I love you. You are my hometown club. MLS Pro Next is definitely not a league that I'm sure many people follow and are actual fans of compared to the other tier 3 leagues. And now we are on to the final 2 tiers. Up next, tier 2, which is the USL Championship as the only team. You could technically also classify this league as a tier 1 league, but according to the US Soccer Federation, it is a tier 2 team. And yes, I've mentioned it. USL is implementing promotion and relegation. So very soon, there will be an official tier 1 league. They're going to call this USL Division 1, and it will be right up there at the top of the pyramid with MLS. They currently have 24 clubs competing, and a few new ones on the horizon are ready to join. Many players in the USL move on to play for MLS clubs or even go on to play for their country's national teams, and a lot of them go and play in Europe as well. One of the issues with this leagues is a lot of the successful teams have found themselves moving from USL to MLS. My hometown club, FC Cincinnati, did it back in 2018. Orlando City were formerly in USL. Seattle Sounders, Portland Timbers, Vancouver Whitecaps, Montreal Impact. All of those teams started in the USL before moving to MLS. And I know that's very confusing because there is no promotion and relegation. So how have they moved from USL to MLS? Basically, you just have to pay a bunch of money to join MLS. Take Seattle. Back in the day, they paid $30 million in 2008 to join Major League Soccer, and that fee has exploded over the past 15 years. This year, a team from San Diego joined MLS from USL, and MLS charged them upwards of $500 million to join Major League Soccer. When people ask why all these leagues don't have promotion and relegation, the only answer is money. It all comes down to money in America. Back to the USL, though, they are continuing to grow. Many of their teams already have soccer-specific stadiums. They've gone crazy for some viral goals throughout the years.
That game's in hand the whole time as Harris unveils the flip throw again and fires it into the box. Ball comes down, setting up a bicycle kick, and it's in!
Didier Drogba also famously played his final season of professional football in the USL Championship for a club called Phoenix Rising, who he is also a part owner of. The average pay per player in this league is anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. I think the USL is just going to continue to thrive over the upcoming decades and will honestly compete against MLS. And I think in 20 years, we'll be having a conversation. Could USL potentially be more popular than Major League Soccer? And now on to Tier 1, Major League Soccer. And it's crazy to think this league was founded less than 30 years ago in 1996. Before MLS existed, the NASL was the top division in US soccer. That's the league that Pele played in the 70s, 80s. A long time ago. MLS currently has 30 teams in this league. Of course, it has massive superstars. It has Messi. I don't want to talk about Messi much in this video because I'm just tired of seeing him everywhere. But yes, Messi is here now. MLS has a salary cap as well, meaning you could only pay a player a certain amount of money. There are just crazy roster restrictions. I don't want to go fully into them because they're just so confusing. Each team does have 3 designated player spots on their roster, which means they can sign 3 players that exceed the team's salary cap. This rule was invented when David Beckham joined MLS. It's basically a rule that allows the superstars to join and get paid just as much money as possible. MLS just has loads of rules when it comes to creating their roster so that all teams can sort of have a competitive advantage. MLS has also been making waves in the transfer market lately with some record signing and transfer fees. Players like Duran being sold to Aston Villa for 29 mil, Almiron back in 2019 for 24 mil, and Thiago Almada being sold for 19 million to a Brazilian club called Botafogo. My club, FC Cincinnati, just signed the top goal scorer in Belgium, Kevin Denke, for 15 million. And the fans in MLS, they are extremely underrated in my opinion. The leagues and teams have done really well at getting the local communities involved and really showcasing the passion of the fans. Although yes, we do have loads of cringy fans, man. You'll go to an MLS, you will see the cringy fans, the cringy chants. It exists, and those sadly are the ones that blow up more on social media over like the ones that really should be showcased. MLS recently signed a deal with Apple TV to broadcast all of their games for the next 10 years on Apple TV, where Apple paid the league $2.5 billion to do this. The broadcasts are great, but yeah, I will say there's a massive paywall now to watch MLS, and it is really tough for like casual fans to gain interest in the league because it's so hard to watch matches. And that's it. That's the US soccer pyramid. But there's one last thing. The one competition that unites all of the clubs in this video, the US Open Cup. In this tournament, an amateur team from the NPSL could win their way up to play against an MLS team. This legendary tournament has been taking place since 1914. And sadly, in 2023, Major League Soccer attempted to pull all of its clubs from the tournament. MLS came up with this new tournament called Leagues Cup, which puts MLS teams up against Mexican league teams, and they'd rather their teams play in that competition over the US Open Cup. Luckily, US Soccer denied MLS the request to pull their clubs, but US Soccer did allow them to send their MLS Next Pro teams over their MLS teams. So this year, you'll see some MLS clubs competing in the US Open Cup, and the ones that aren't, they're sending, like Portland Timbers 2 is competing over Portland Timbers main team. MLS clearly wants US Soccer all to itself. It doesn't want any competition. It doesn't want to have to share the spotlight. But hopefully from this video, you can see that football in America is way more than just MLS. Although I'm a massive fan of MLS, I want this sport to grow as much as possible in this country. If you watch my channel, you would know me from FIFA content, but over this next year leading up to the World Cup, I'm going to be changing a lot of my content to focus on football in America. I'm going to be visiting a lot of these lower league teams. I'm going to be visiting the MLS teams, the USL Championship teams. My next mission on YouTube is to help this sport grow as much as I can in this country and educate you on the great game of football in America. Stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Subscribe to follow the journey, and we'll see you for the next one.